Hello Modcrash team, I'm here to present to you a little prototype of a mod pack me and Patrick have been working on called Endless Abound for Modcrash. As you can see, I am in a lovely sky village because this pack is all about mobile bases, specifically airships. It's running in 1.20.1, so it's one of the latest versions, and this is what it is all about. Excuse my building, I'm not the best, but I've thrown together an airship as a little demo. This is not the Overworld. I have basically replaced it with a new dimension because the Overworld was a bit flat, and I've replaced it with this, which I would like to call the Endless Abound. This is fully set up and working. I've got a little ME system here, and I would like to take you on a little journey and show you what the idea is for this pack. So you can construct airships with minor texture glitches on the back. That's fine, happens all the time. You can construct airships out of blocks and cruise around this lovely dimension, the Endless Abound. It contains all of the overworld biomes that you would expect, as well as biomes of plenty biomes and a few other bits and pieces. Cave biomes, including some additional ones added by a mod called Alex's Caves. So these airships are absolutely ridiculous. They're so versatile in what you can do. I've got a functional ME system on here. This is using Valkyrian Skies and the Create mod. I wanted to give you a sort of reason to airship around and also some progression. I wanted there to be something of an end goal that you can work towards, but also preserve that kind of open world aspect which Minecraft is really good at. So the way I've done that, I've added shitloads of structures all over the place. Dungeons, bosses, we've got ice and fire, so you may get into a couple of scrapes where you end up having a dogfight between your airship and a dragon. We've added some extra weapons. You can put cannons on your airship. So around the world you're going to find villages scattered, and villages are going to be the main way that you progress, where you can acquire new bits of technologies and trade with the villagers for the resources that you've collected through mining and just exploring along the way, and you can trade that for bits and pieces that will upgrade your airship. Also, just because of how this world is laid out, and it might be a bit tedious finding things, we do have a few extra compasses to help you out. We have an explorer's compass, which will show you any structure that you like, but it is quite expensive, and currently not in here, but we did have it before. It is the nature's compass, which will allow you to locate any biome that you need. Gonna park up here, a little bit of parallel parking. So the good thing about this airship mod is that you don't have to disassemble it back into blocks every time you park it. You can keep it as its own structure, and then you can just sort of jump across. And it works really seamlessly and can interact with the world as well. In like a multiplayer situation, you can actually shoot the balloons and they'll pop, and the arrow will have a bit of a spasm. That's alright, we can fix that. So if I walk up to one of these villages, you'll note that he has both a level and a name. The name is just for fun, but the level, this is a part of the progression system that I've put in here. Every mob, the further you are away from spawn, the more difficult they will become. They'll have more health and they'll hit harder. That goes for things like dragons and boss mobs as well. And there's a reason for that which I'll get to, because in this pack you will want to be slowly making your way really far away from spawn. Now, of course, this is just the overworld, and I wanted to make sure that you could also pilot airships in both the nether and in the end. So this is the new nether. The first thing that you'll probably notice is it is way, way bigger. The nether in vanilla Minecraft only goes up to Y128, I think. We've extended this all the way up to Y256. It does mean you can no longer build on the nether roof just because the build height limit is 256. But I think that's a good sacrifice because the amount of space you have to move around in here is way, way better. As far as I know, there are no weird egg things in the sky, although that might be subject to change just because of how the curse works. We'll solve that at a later date. So that was the nether, but this is the new end dimension. This is absolutely crazy. We used one of the many end makeover mods. I chose the one that gave the most verticality to the dimension, just so that airships really come into their own here. It adds a whole bunch of new biomes, more structures, bigger structures, just so that there's far more to do and explore in the end. It's actually not that hard to run this, like performance-wise. I'm not going to say it's easy, because obviously it's pretty intense world generation, but I have been quite happily running this with full shaders, 16 chunks render distance, and of course I'm recording this at like 30 FPS as well. Back in the overworld now, because I want to show you a problem. You will notice with this world, it's built a little bit like the Ether, and as such there are no oceans, which means you won't be able to obtain all of the ocean blocks, tridents, things like that in this dimension. But I have got a solution for you. One of the things you'll be able to trade for in villages like that is something called a sea key. Let me just stop myself from crashing here. You'll also be able to trade for prismarine blocks. Now what you'll be able to do with this is construct a portal. And then you light it with the sea key, and it looks a little bit like shit. But I promise when you go into the dimension it's amazing. This is the ocean dimension. We're deep underground at the moment, but the main thing that you'll find in this dimension, if I just pop into spectator here, is one big ocean. Let me just set the time to day. It's still going to be quite tricky to see, but you will have all of the things you would find in a regular Minecraft ocean. If you wanted to live like a pirate in this dimension, we wanted to make sure you could absolutely do that. So if I cruise up to the top here, you'll find these floating villages where you can make trades. We've got additional structures, little boats there. We've got ice and fire sea serpents, sirens to avoid. These are real nice villages, and you'll find all of the trades that you would find in the overworld in here. So if you want to live a life of piracy, you can do that. There are also specific ocean dungeons in the form of boats. So one last thing I want to show you is the end of the progression in the Endless Abound. That's the Sky Castle. Once you trade with enough villagers, you will find yourself in possession of this, the levitation stone. I think you get it from a cartographer. Oh yeah, it says there. You get it from a cartographer, and this item will guide you towards a castle in the sky. So the castle in the sky spawns a minimum of 8,000 blocks away from spawn, and by the time you get out here, the mobs will all be really high level. So you need to have some really good weapons and defenses to contend with some of the mobs out here. If I go down to some of these pigs here, you see there's a level 136 pig that's got 145 health. We may dial this down and tune it a little bit just so that it's we have some really good difficulty scaling. This is just what the default is out the box. It can be tuned, but I think it's quite a cool system, and it's something that I'm wanting to play around with. Here it is here. This is the Castle in the Sky. Super rare structure. It is absolutely massive. In survival mode, when you're in the castle, you won't be able to break any blocks, and the way that you progress through the dungeons by solving puzzles. It says on the page for this mod that this dungeon takes roughly 1 to 2 hours to complete, so there's a good bit of content in here. And once you beat the Castle in the Sky, the entire thing gets destroyed. As far as like a narrative reason for that goes, I'm not too sure. I've yet to take on one of these in survival mode. As I said, I just sort of threw this pack together yesterday. But I think it's a really cool idea, and I think it's cool to have a end game style structure that you reach. And of course, all of the mobs that you'll find in here will be absolutely hard as nails. So you're going to need some cool stuff. That encourages you to build up your airship, build up your base, build up your gear, and explore all the different structures and biomes that we have on offer down there. Of course, if you have any questions, let me know, and if you have any suggestions, definitely let me know, because this is in a very, very early alpha, and it is held together with blue tack and a few pieces of string. Thank you, and you will smell like feet.